He may be engaged. I haven't even announced you. Were you raised by wolves? I can't approve impositions on Mr. Farthington's time. He does little enough real work as it is. People without appointments are so aggravating.
Good day, gentlemen. What a pleasant surprise. Help yourself to a sherry while I finish this brief. I won't be long.
I don't mind if I do. There can't be that many sweets in here. It looks tiny. And what is it doing on the fireplace? Oh well.
I'll buy you some lemon drops if you're desperate.
Ah yes, I wonder if we will get an update on Anna and Paul.
Do you suppose Paul and Anna would sit for such a photograph for me? There's no need. Anna has the negative to that one. Your clerk's demeanor is unaffected by his tuition at the Charm Academy. In this inconstant world, I find comfort in his predictable impudence.
Small comfort, I should think.
At my age, Doctor, small comforts are all a wise man should expect. Speaking of which, I'm sorry for your brother's accident, Holmes. I've heard he will recover. You won't mind if I work while we talk. What may I do for you?
Oh yes, I forgot to check out this.
I'm looking for a barrister named Bledsoe. He has chambers here, I believe. In candor, I advise you to look elsewhere for legal representation. This is strictly a private matter, nothing to do with the law yet. I believe he serves on your brother's committee. Surely that would be a more suitable forum for cross-examination. It would not, as it happens. Do you know where he is? I couldn't say. You would not compel me to violate a confidence as the price for telling me his whereabouts? If the substance of your colloquy is confidential, Holmes, so is his location. In fairness, I can do no less. He's a friend of sorts. You must give up something to receive. We can deal on no other basis. Where are the Egyptian funerary urns? Were they less lovely than they looked? Confiscated. Fakes, and stolen besides. I was nearly charged. A client and former friend gave them to discharge a debt. The case is in Chancery. I'll never live to see its resolution.
Justice delayed is justice denied.
Apt, Doctor, but regrettably meaningless to the Lord Chancellor. I note Cicero has replaced Demosthenes as your orator of choice. Infer no qualitative judgment. The Athenian was an unpleasant reminder of youthful excess. You may recall that he perfected his enunciation with a mouthful of pebbles. I aped his training methods, but used horehound lumps instead. One day I accidentally swallowed them all. Wreaked havoc on my digestive tract. Who preceded us in here, Farthington? Surely you're familiar with client confidentiality, Holmes? A client never speaks to a barrister without his solicitor. Your last visitor was alone. I suspect... The sun's long over the yardarm, gentlemen. Wet your whistles if you like. I need to confer with my clerk. If you won't tell me where Bledsoe is, perhaps you would tell me about him. Very well. He's a childless widower, retiring by nature. Family money allowed him the leisure to serve the government. His wife was the only daughter of Silas Byrne, who publishes a toxic rag called The Gadfly. He never liked Bledsoe. Since his wife's untimely death, Bledsoe has been repeatedly pilloried in its pages as a venal hack and toadying nincompoop.
I've read those articles. Should have recollected the name. Are the allegations unjustified?
Completely unfounded. Admittedly, he's a man of modest endowments, but he's tireless and honest, with no ambition beyond service to the Queen, and of course, staying out of harm's way. He is not an adventurer who would betray his country? Never. Though it's not strictly a question of patriotism. Regrettably, most men's loyalty is not proof against the right inducement. But Bledsoe so despises excitement of any kind, he would perish from anxiety simply contemplating such an act. Must I rummage through the bowels of the Inns of Court looking for the man? You might find his chambers, but you would not find him. Never there. Hasn't had a brief in years. He's not a man altogether comfortable with human contact. I hope Paul and Anna Carraway are well. They are, thanks to you. Lord Brumwell was financially ruined, you know. Exposure of his son's real maternity drove him over the edge. Paul and Anna are living on their own, then? They prefer it that way. Sir Avery Fanshawe bought the Brumwell place, kit and caboodle, for his wife, so Anna is out from under the estate taxes.
I'm glad to know that they are doing well.
I assume that Bledsoe is more than a casual acquaintance, Farthington? I know your methods, Holmes. You never assume when proof is available. Waters is still the image of incivility. I wonder that Farthington keeps him on.
A competent clerk may be hard to find. Then again, some people tolerate abusive behavior better than others.
We could waste precious time looking for Bledsoe and still come up empty. I'm stymied, Watson.
I'm sorry to hear it, Holmes, because that makes two of us. Perhaps we should move on.
I trust Farthington implicitly. Should I confide something of our mission to him?
That must be your decision, Holmes. Mycroft would expect no less.
We did a good bit of work for the Carraways, Watson, if I say so myself.
One day the world will learn of it too. It's called The Case of the Serrated Scalpel.
You've written it up, have you? Shall I see it published?
Not in this lifetime, old friend. We made a promise. Rest assured, I've given credit where it was due. Protected the innocent and vilified the guilty. All received their just deserts.
Who is here before us, do you suppose?
I haven't the foggiest. Do you have a notion?
Not a name, but it's as plain as the nose on Cicero's face that he was a friend and a compulsively heavy smoker of some means.
You are perspicacity itself. Explain, please.
It would take him no less than an hour to smoke this many of his custom-made cigarettes. And he was alone, without a solicitor. This was a social call. What does Farthington's description of Bledsoe suggest to you?
He sounds a reclusive type, overly fond of tranquility, unpredictable and antisocial. Perhaps slightly unhinged.
And frightened silly, I'll wager. I should dismiss him for cause as a suspect. Nevertheless, I must speak with him. It is always a mistake to ignore the obvious. Farthington is distinctly ill at ease. What's he concealing, Watson?
I don't know. But you come in without so much as a by your leave and interrogate him. A bit off-putting, to say the least.
Granted, but he knows me and my moods. No, there's something else.
God forbid you should accept the first explanation that comes to hand.
Questions, Watson?
Does it seem to you that security at the Ministry is not everything it might be?
It seems that security there is nothing it ought to be.
No use crying over spilt milk, I suppose.
Right. Wait till it turns rancid, then gag on it.
Lovely. Maybe we should return to the Ministry at some point. We did set fire to the place, after all.
Will you settle for the reason I wish to speak with him and trust me for the details?
Of course.
A document went missing from the Ministry of Defence, and Bledsoe is among the last persons known to have seen it. He subsequently moved to terminate the inquiry into its disappearance. The probable thief has now been found, dead, executed. You see my problem.
As he openly signed out the document and returned it, and was not alone in his opposition to the inquiry, I don't think I can help you, Holmes. You are on a sort of unofficial fishing expedition, and Bledsoe is an excitable character of nervous disposition. I truly don't know where he is at the moment.
Okay. Well, maybe this calendar holds some kind of appointment system, maybe?
Asking you to keep your eyes to yourself is like asking a dog not to bark.
Who is the PB referred to in your calendar, Farthington?
Perhaps I've misread your character, Holmes. You seem oblivious to the claims of privacy.
I apologize, Farthington. My zeal overtook my judgment. I beg you to arrange a meeting with Bledsoe, Farthington.
What makes you think I can do that?
Because I have told you nearly nothing that you have not already heard from his own mouth. What neither of you may know is that my brother's injuries resulted from an attempt on his life by those responsible for stealing the document.
You are a man of probity, Holmes, but you are an aggressive investigator. Can I secure your pledge that you will neither badger nor harass Bledsoe?
I promise. Please, Farthington, the security of the nation may be at risk.
No need to up the ante, Holmes. I take this as serious. If I can arrange a meeting, I'll send a wire to your digs. Still on Baker Street, are you?
Naturally, at 221B.
Fine. If my office holds no more interest for you, please see yourselves out.
I'm not too sure there is a specific trigger for the message to come through to meet Farthington, well, Bledsoe again. Again? As I've played through this scenario several times and it's not triggered for me, so I may be missing something. We're going to head to the Wirry Punt, but before then, let's visit some old grounds.
Is there anything more that you wish to tell me, Whitney?
There is, in fact, a great deal I would wish to tell you, Mr. Holmes, but I value my situation. I know you to be an ill-mannered extortionist, a bully with powerful connections, a likely pyromaniac and thief. Still, I say nothing, except to get out. There is nothing for you here.
Civility might have saved you from your hard tuition, Whitney. But with a dolt such as you, I doubt it.
Nice.
I need your expertise, Stitch. Are these notes your work?
Flawless eye, Mr. Holmes. I was once proud to call them mine. How'd you come by 'em?
An acquaintance in Walworth recently received them for services rendered.
You should watch his step, and you too, you're moving among dangerous company, villains with a long reach.
How so?
The police recovered most of my product from a warehouse in Aldgate, and you witnessed the destruction of my plates. The only way these notes could circulate is from the Yard or from the original client.
As I recall, he was never identified.
I never knew him. A lackey named Crip hired me, terrified of his boss he was. Since the money was right, I asked no questions, and I'm glad for it. Crip was murdered while in custody. His killer's name remains a mystery.
Oh, from the Yard? I'm not going to head there at the moment. I'm not too sure if we actually need to head back there.
Merde! Damnation, blast and bloody hell! Merde! Going east? Blast your eyes! Du bist ein Esser! Shovel! Tear a new ear hole! You what? Bugger off! Such a hole, matey! Did it hurt? Damn your cheek! Take a hike! Going east?
You what? I'm guessing that we've exhausted his vocabulary.
Shovel!
Did you know Thomas Pratt? Or do you know anyone who knew him?
You the police?
No, we're friends of his.
You look like them.
Friends?
Police! Blast your eyes! Shovel! Take a hike! Merde!
You're about to hoist a foul cargo, mister. It's rivermen and sailor boys only back there. Move on or they'll find your liver round the Isle of Dogs.
Shovel!
May I purchase a packet of matches for my pipe?
Matches is gratis for my customers and back. Smoking tobacco's a filthy habit. I sell alcohol here. If you don't want to drink, take a hike.
I smell something strange. Perhaps I'll just walk back there.
And I'll tear you a new ear hole. Entrance is by special permit only. You ain't welcome. Seamen, sailors and their friends. That's who I cater to.
Merde!
Excuse me? If these matches, or matchboxes, are for the people in the back, then why aren't they in the back?
Did you know Thomas Pratt?
Not by name. Who sent you?
Nobody sent us.
I don't want nobody here that nobody sent. Damnation, blasting bloody hell. Nosy persons give me ulcers. Damned if they don't.
I could ask the authorities to take an interest in your establishment.
Wait till Tuesday. The number 3 from the Scotland Yard is here with his secretary. Never misses. Now take a hike before you hurt yourself.
I'm guessing that we won't be the ones hurting ourselves.
Take a hike!
Okay. That didn't seem to accomplish anything at all.
So you found a matchbox. You never got it from me.
That makes a difference.
Makes all the difference.
What about a drink, Watson, to gain the barman's confidence?
I'm sure you've appreciated my nearly unqualified acquiescence over the years. You'd concede that I've almost always supported your proposals unstintingly.
Rightly and well said, Watson. You've been a brick.
Then perhaps you will indulge me and let us leave directly. I would rather swim in a Calcutta cesspool than subject my constitution to the crockery and pestilential potables of this establishment.
I'll take that as a no, shall I? Have we seen the landlord before, Watson? Is he not like the Lascar from the Bar of Gold?
Lascar, the German chess prodigy?
Please attend, Doctor. Does the proprietor remind you of the Lascar from the Bar of Gold?
That unsavoury boor was brown by nature rather than exposure. But I do suggest we give him a similarly wide berth. This chap looks positively hazardous.
Agreed. And we have not impressed him. I remarked a distinct lack of quivering with fear in the face of respectability. Perhaps this oratory experience will refine your appreciation of true musicianship.
I have never directly criticised your talents, Holmes.
No? I remember the substance of your response to my Kreutzer. Some twaddle about the esteem in which you held the aphorism, silence is golden. Suggestions, Watson?
While we have our health and our purses, I recommend a retreat.
Live to fight another day, eh?
Exactly, and preferably someplace else.
Always sage advice. At least we don't go away empty. Despite the barman's denial, Pratt was a regular here, a devotee of De Quincey. No doubt about it.
Take a hike!
The macaw is surprisingly accomplished. They're usually less verbal than African greys.
His vocabulary would cause a libertine to blush.
He's a mimic, not a moralist.
Given this unwholesome venue, I'm not surprised he's capable of vulgarity in multiple languages.
His training, though limited, may be instructive.
Okay. There isn't much more that we can do here.
What is it, Watson? You look perplexed.
The boy, Holmes, where is he?
Calm yourself, Doctor. Don't you imagine Jonas would have informed us if anything untoward had happened to Virgil?
I'm going to figure out this trigger, but for the moment I'm going to visit some slightly older ground.
Do you know where Virgil has got to, Jonas?
Mrs. Hudson took him to one of her cronies.
Why? Was he ill?
The lad was feeling pretty low, Mr. Holmes. Thought he'd been abandoned.
Yes, I can see that. Thoughtless of me.
Mrs. Hudson is a generous woman. I put her in the picture. The boy will remain with her until you give the word.
Thank you, Jonas. What can you tell me about a hatter named De Groots in Johannesburg?
Middling sort of haberdashery. Shops all over the colony, traditional garb, nothing special. A man can do worse than dress from their ready-to-wear ricks.
Have you noticed any dubious characters hanging about, Colleran?
None but Tallboy and myself, Mr. Holmes. I keep an eye out.
Does my brother ever entertain colleagues and such?
Excuse me, sir, but I don't understand how that concerns you.
Curious, Colleran, just curious.
Well then, to satisfy your idle curiosity, very rarely.
Have there been any burglaries here recently, Colleran?
A flat was turned over last month. Letters of credit and several sensitive but as yet unidentified documents were taken. New locks were installed as a result.
No jewellery or cash?
No, and that's a disturbing mystery, as I'm sure you'd agree.
Indeed. Mycroft had a strong reason to be cautious. Good day, Sherman. Feeling better, I hope?
Yes, Sherlock. I've just renewed my acquaintance with some of the animals. They appreciate old friends, as should we all.
Toby seemed to enjoy his outing with us.
Oh, he's in a fine fellow, making Metropolitan Police wages on a missing baby case in Surrey. Putting them bloodhounds' noses out of joint.
Toby's gone. Ideas, Watson?
I'm at a loss, Holmes. I have no idea why you wanted to return here in the first place. We have no need for the hound.
Truth be told, I'm not sure myself.
How may I help you, gentlemen?
Well, live and learn. I wonder what Totman would have concluded from the Ripper's brain. Could he have predicted the revolting ogre? Doubtful. Extremely improbable.
It turns out that we can actually show Rose several items.
Rose, what can you tell me about the person who wrote this note?
The horizontal strokes indicate a forthright but plodding, officious man. He's honest, I would guess, and fair-minded.
Never guess, Rose. You've said nothing to dissuade me of your skill. Whether this is art or science, it can be a useful tool.
I'm pretty sure these aren't going to be a trigger for Bledsoe, but it's still interesting nonetheless.
What can you tell me about the person who wrote this note?
He's an educated man, but lazy. Small writing connotes pedantry, which is often a sign of insecurity. Although it might mean that he's thrifty, saving on paper and ink. Am I near the mark?
Close enough for an art. One can't expect precision. What do you make of this, Rose?
Lovely hat, but not yours, surely. I can see right off it's too big for you, and not really your style.
Tell me about the woman who addressed this envelope. Confine your analysis to the first line.
Big printing may mean weak coordination, but perhaps the recipient couldn't read script. In any case, I bet the printer was a man, Mr. Holmes. Are you trying to trick me?
Test, Rose, test. I wondered if the lip gloss stain on the scented pink stationery would influence you. Anything else about the man?
Not really. He may have been trying to disguise his handwriting. Printing is hard to analyze.
Rose, can you give me a thumbnail sketch of the person who wrote this note?
The sloping characters suggests a vain, single-minded man, aggressive and selfish, probably excessive in all his personal habits. He may drink or take drugs. Is that right?
I'm not certain, but it could be. There's nothing that I know that tells against it.
I believe that is all that we can do here. Okay, let's head back out.